Holla ballers and a bro fist to you all. A big twisting bro fist. It's Monday. The world has restarted in its wonderful, wonderful, normal way. We have to start our day again. Oh, look at all the hollas. Man, you guys cheer me up. I had a depressing day. Depressed preacher. And I'll explain why shortly. Monday. Monday's always a weird day, especially when you're self-employed. Monday can feel like, I don't have to do shit on Monday. But then you realise, well, if I don't get any money. So I do need to do shit. So Monday's just as busy. I had an interesting conversation today. I'm like the computer guy for local people, especially my mother and her boyfriend. And they keep fucking their laptop up. It keeps getting malware on it and ransomware. And it happened again. I fixed this thing probably 6 times in the last 2 months. So I had to get the laptop again and fix it. Just running malware programs. Like trying to explain to a complete newbie how to run a malware program is just the end of the fucking world as far as I'm concerned. So I got the laptop, I ran the malware, got rid of this nasty ass virus, which was pretty interesting actually. I don't get to see a lot of viruses. My system is like so protected and I know what sites are good and bad. I know not to open shit in my emails, attachments. Newbies don't know that. They're the people. It's like first day on the internet, kid. I won an iPad. Yes. All that kind of stuff. And this virus, viruses are pretty convincing these days. This one came up and it tracked your IP, and it knew you were in Manchester, England, and it actually said this is from the Greater Manchester Police. You have been looking at child pornography. You must pay £100 directly to us to unlock your account. It basically blocked the whole system and said, this is from the Greater Manchester Police. We believe this laptop has been looking at child pornography and we have locked your computer. Which essentially it had. You couldn't even get out via the task manager or anything or Alt F4 it. And then you had to pay them £100 to unlock it. As if some people would actually pay that. I'm sure they make money from this stuff. But the fact of the matter is that the police it's just a fine now for being like a child pervert. It's a £100 fine. You can look at as much child porn as you want. You'll just get a £100 fine. I was like, common sense tells you this shit isn't real. But on the phone call, it's like, I don't know what's going on. We obviously haven't looked at child porn, but this thing says we owe them £100 and our computer's been locked. I'm like, yeah, do you think it's a £100 fine for looking at child porn? Do you think that's really the case? Do you think that's what the law has come to? It's just a fine. No problem at all. You had it in Ireland as well. Ali's had it before. Yeah. Craig says we should just email them back and say, yeah, so, whatever. Fuck you, man. So it's all that kind of stuff going on at the moment, which is pretty... I fixed it today. But my mother's boyfriend is actually a very, very, very clever person. He was a chance encounter by her to meet him in our local area. He builds hospitals. Like... He's extremely well paid and extremely clever. He builds like hospitals from the ground up. Every single aspect of it. He's like called the... he's like a shitty title like project manager. But project manager at that level is a mega title. He recently was sequestered to go to Dubai and build hospital in Dubai. He's very, very hardcore. He's just got back. And I was talking to him about how the business was going. The business end of what we do. And his son wants to be a sound engineer. He's got a son who's 17 now, I believe. Nice lad. Very Justin Bieber haircut. So instantly I dismiss him from existing. But he was telling me all about... he went to visit Sound City, which is like a university. And they have all these projects. And they're requesting people to come and do their production at their facilities. So their students can get internships and... all sorts of experience producing stuff, and I should look into that. So that's something I might look into the new year. And overall, he gave me all sorts of little tips. He's always very interested. He likes business. He likes making money. And he has all sorts of hints and ideas and stuff like that. So it was a very cool day. Why am I depressed? I got very unhealthy, like physically, during Miss Pandaria launch. I was at the PC sort of 20 hours a day for an extended period of time, like 13 days or something. And I noticed that I was physically like ordering takeout and stuff, and you know I can't wait 5 minutes and doing this and that. So I'm getting married again next year, so obviously you need to sort of be trim and stuff for the wedding. So I was like, I'm gonna get healthy. I'm gonna do the health kick. So all of Saturday except for the web show, and of course it was web show weekend. We'll talk about that soon. I only drank water and I ate really healthy food, like I think I had like boiled chicken and vegetables for lunch and shit like that. And then Sunday, again, all water and stuff like that. I woke up today and being healthy and drinking lots of water. I'm drinking my water now. is supposed to be like, oh, I feel great. I'm so awesome. I don't have that weight of like lots of gravy and all this bad food running through my system and fueled by Monster and so on and so forth. I feel fucking terrible. I feel awful. Oh my god. I assume it's like my body reacting to the change. I've been to the gym for the last 3 days straight. My legs are killing me. And with Ben, I already walk like 8 miles a day, naturally. But before I even started this thing. So walking 8 miles a day and then having all this healthy food and fucking going to the gym as well, which I did as well, but we're pushing it a little bit more now on the cardio side. Oh my god, I feel awful. I feel really bad. Like, genuinely, I woke up this morning, I was like depressed. I was like, ugh. I just want a big sausage, bacon, and egg sandwich. And fucking, I just want this greasy food. I was like craving it so badly. And when I was at this place eating my chicken and peas and carrots, Emma got herself, because Emma never seems to put on weight no matter what, but she does have a horse, so she does a lot of physical activity by proxy. And she got like a steak pie with chips and gravy, and I was literally almost like salivating while I was eating this boring ass fucking food, this flavorless, awful, plain old chicken. I had to take the skin off. Oh my god, I was the person who took the skin off the chicken, me, and I was like, I'm looking at this pie and she's like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, I just want to eat some of the crust. So tragic. I just want to eat the crust. Just to give me a crust of that gravy-filled steak. Oh my god, it was so cool. I genuinely, I feel terrible. And I was awake till 6 a.m. on Saturday with headache. I had a headache I'd never had before. Usually you get a headache at the front of your head and you do this old Picard thing. Or you get it at the back of your head and you're like, it's like something you've been banging your head. I got it like in a strip across my head. And it started really just before the web show. I started getting this headache, but it was minor. It was like a little pain. By the end of the web show, it was quite painful. Not overly, but we did do like a 3.5 hour web show. So my head was like sort of hurting. Ghost went home. I tried to go to sleep. It just kept getting worse and worse until it got to like 5 a.m. I genuinely considered going to the hospital. I thought there's something really wrong here. I'd been taking some aspirin and that was doing nothing. Emma was like, are you sure you're okay? And I'm like, I'm in so much fucking pain. Genuine pain. I went downstairs and watched some Star Trek. Like a boss. Went downstairs and watched some fucking Star Trek. Some Next Gen. Which is also awesome because it's kind of awesome but kind of fail at the same time, is you don't realize how stupid some of the things are in Star Trek sometimes, especially when they recalibrate stuff. Like, we can't detect this guy, and then Data goes, well, if I recalibrate the sensors, then we should be able to detect him. It's like, well, why don't the sensors do that anyway? Why do you have your sensors set to a level where they can miss things? They're the sensors. They're there to detect things. What do you mean you just recalibrate them and now they work? Oh, now we can detect them. There he is. What? Why? Why would you do that? It makes no fucking sense. Are you kidding me? I just don't understand. Like, and it happened like I think I watched 3 episodes of Next Gen, and it happened near enough every episode where they just recalibrated something and now it works. I was oblivious to this as a child when I actually watched these things. And watching it now, I genuinely was like, well, that makes no fucking sense. I think I can boost power to the shields. Why are your shields not at full power? Why would you not just have the shields really powerful? Because they're your shields. If you're at red alert and someone's about to kill you, and then you say, well, I can make the shield stronger. Well, duh, why the fuck haven't you done that in the first place? We're about to get shot. Put the full power in the shields. Oh, I think I can boost them. It's no big deal. So it's really that awkward situation, that awkward moment where you realise your childhood is just falling apart. It was one of those kind of things. It really made me a little bit sad. So I was depressed and shit today. The daily's actually cheering me up already, which is cool. I spoke to Genji about an hour ago and I was like, yeah. I just couldn't do a commentary today, so I've been editing some stuff together to release. I didn't want to do any commentary. What kind of monster? I can't have one. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna drink some more water. Sad and depressed, and it was all a bit depressing. But the daily's actually cheering me up a little bit. So videos are starting again tomorrow. You should have. Now I say this with bated breath before some of you lynch me. Tomorrow should be Shaman, all 3 specs. Wednesday should be Druid, all 4 specs. Thursday should be Priest, all 3 specs. Friday should be Paladin, all 3 specs. It's a lot of work. It's going to be a busy week for me, but those are the specs that should be next. Those should be next. So be ready for that. Okay, a lot of spam on the channel, as you were aware, but it will be happening. They'll be getting those out, and that should bring us in next week to the remaining specs. That should be 1, 2, 6 done, 5 left, 5 days next week. Every single spec should be complete, and then I'm pretty much focused 100% on the Way of the Warrior 2. After that, that'll be Way of the Warrior 2, just boom, piling video clips into sorting and fixing that up. So that should be pretty cool. Where do I want to start today? Well, on Friday, we left you with a topic, which was Tank Vengeance. And the Blood DPS, not Blood specifically, Tank DPS in general. Good or bad thing? New tanking model? What do you think? Oh, my water has ice in it. That's awesome. What did you guys think? Now, I was happy to see that it was such a constructive debate from you guys, which is fucking awesome, right? My community owns space. Oh, funny story before we start. Segue again. As I spoke to Genji, it's because he told me Wowhead. He'd been on Wowhead, and he got some serious malware infections. So be a little bit careful of Wowhead for the next couple of days. He seems to be 100% convinced that he got this infection from Wowhead. So just be a little bit careful. If you're not fully protected, just give it a couple of days. It might be Wowhead, it might not. So I didn't make a video saying, please guys avoid Wowhead. I'm just saying that Genji tells me he went on Wowhead and then he got an infection pretty much straight away and he hadn't been anywhere else. So just be a little bit careful of that if you want to visit Wowhead on a regular basis. As I am as well, I like visiting Wowhead. I decided to play my monk for about an hour, just before I did the daily. I've been sort of editing all day. I thought I'll just play my monk for an hour. I went from level 20 to level 30 in that hour, which kind of shows the kind of leveling speed you get out of your monk. And the final dungeon I did was Scarlet Monastery. And in Scarlet Monastery, I was tanking, a brewmaster. Finally happy to have some defensive cooldowns because some of the healers I met today were terrible. Oh my god. I even met a guy who seemed to be dual boxing with his DPS, and he seems to be doing his own recruiter friend, and one of the characters he brought along was a healer, and I was just not getting healed. I died 3 times. I was like, dude, what are you doing? I'd even vastly slowed down the pace of my pulls, and I was still dying. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, don't worry. And it seemed to be the same sort of speak that was coming out of another guy. So either they were best friends and the healer was really bad, or he was dual boxing. I kind of got the impression he was dual boxing, but badly, because when one moved, then the other moved, and it was pretty obvious. If you're going to dual box 2 DPSs, and at least do it correctly, so you bind both of the keys, so when you press attack, the other one attacks as well. At least be semi-useful and not waste my time, or anybody else's time for that matter. But in the final dungeon, I had a team which involved a warlock and a hunter, another monk, and a shaman. And shaman's colour looks far too close to the monk. Blizzard, change it. Seriously, I was so baffled by why this monk was a DPSer and had a mana bar. I had to inspect him to see, is this guy spec Mistweaver and DPSing? What the fuck is that? But no, it was a shaman. It was elemental. But ultimately, we got to Brother Karloff, I think his name is, the bald guy, with the trainees, and the healer was out of mana. Even in the lower version of Scarlet Monastery, those melee guys hit kind of hard, and the healer was out of mana. So being a boss, I waited for the healer to just get some mana back. Warlock was totally unimpressed with this, popped demon form and pulled Brother Karloff. He died. No thanks to me. I fucking hate ninja pullers, especially when I pulled basically the whole instance from start to finish in one big pull. I'm pulling at a decent pace, dude. I know how to tank, right? So, and he obviously hadn't checked the healer's mana. So he went demon form, pulled the boss, and the ads all attacked him, and he died. And then I took aggro to try and resolve the situation, and we did get the kill. Then he says, you're in, why didn't you tank? I said, I was waiting for the healer to get mana. He said, you'd no need to pull there. I'm pulling really fast. And then he goes, oh, you're from Stark Industries. That's Preach's guild, isn't it? Which it isn't. And I went, oh, right, okay. And he went, oh, wait a minute. Chuggernuts, aren't you Preach? And I said, yeah. And he went, I'm really sorry. Like, it changed completely. He was like, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, okay. I was angry. I was depressed anyway during the day, and I was pretty pissed that this guy had done that. I'd let him die, so I felt like it was a tit for tat situation anyway. And then he goes, "I know, dude. I'm really, really sorry. Like, genuinely sorry." And I was like, okay. I just said okay and just carried on. tanking. And then he was stood still in the middle of the fountain area, and I could almost see him like, you know, he left in an RP sense. He was like, oh, "Fuck me," and I was just carrying on. I didn't care. And then he goes, "Do you think I'm a dick now?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, it's a dick thing to do. You didn't check the healer's mana. I pulled all the dungeons super fast, and just to go and ninja pull the boss." Everybody's a superhero in the fucking lower level dungeons, aren't they? Everybody's a fucking hero. Everybody's Indiana Jones. You've got 5 Indiana Jones, and no one with a fucking clue in the lower level dungeons. They're all rolling super powerful characters, drenched head to foot in heirloom gear. Nothing can go wrong, right? How many good dungeons did I join in 1 hour that were literally halfway through? I never got a fresh dungeon. They were all wiped groups because everybody's a fucking hero. Everyone thinks they're saving the day in some fashion. Oh, we can just AoE everything down. No problem whatsoever, right? It's easy. This is Numerigan. Numerigan was a nightmare. I literally got in just before the last boss, and the group still was dying when I got in there. And by the time I'd reached them, they'd all wiped and were running back. It was just tragic to see. So tragic. So many fucking heroes. Everybody's a hero. And so I said to this guy, well, yeah, it's a dick thing to do. I said, I don't think you're a dick. I said, it's a dick thing to do. And he left the group. Oh, man. I felt genuinely bad then. I was like, oh, God. It's like Dad had walked in the room. I didn't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel like Dad walking in the room. Oh, come on. Like, it's okay to ninja pull the boss as long as I don't see it, right? Like, as long as I don't see it happen, it's fine to ninja pull the boss. Normally I ninja pull the boss, but oh God, Daddy preaches here, and now he's seen me. Now he's going to spank me and all this stuff. And he totally fucking left the groove. And I was like, oh, whatever, man. Ghost is texting me again in the fucking daily. Look at this. Fucking turning my phone off every single time now. What a dick. So off we went, and we finished the dungeon and so on and so forth, and I got level 30. And that was just a silly moment in the day. Really, if you're trying to learn something from my channel, don't think it only applies if I'm there. I'm trying to make you better overall. I'm trying to just not do that, do you know what I mean? He thinks I'm a dick. Oh, man. It was really sad, I don't know. It kind of gave me a giggle, but I still felt kind of bad. But shouldn't have done it. It was a stupid thing to do. It was a really stupid thing to do. The healer just had to drink. He's just wasting the healer's drinks. There's no mage there. For all I know, he's bought that water, and you're like wasting his time as well. So overall, yeah, that was my day. That was my day today. So tanking stuff, yeah. On the YouTube video, lots and lots of comments. Like, what, 7, 8 pages of comments, I think? Something like that. A lot of different backwards and forwards. Some tanks are loving the fact that they're doing competitive DPS. So this is stemmed from Vengeance. Vengeance was changed according to Ghostcrawler. Ghostcrawler posted the Vengeance change around about the August 7th mark. He made a huge elongated useless post just to make sure he covered all the bases for people who had many questions about Vengeance and why they did it. They moved to a model for tanking which was, hey, you can do more DPS or you can be more or increase your survivability, but it's your choice. Your resources will work in the same way. Doesn't quite work with everybody, like Protection Paladins. Protection Paladins just get both as standard, pretty much, just because they have mana and infinite amounts of mana, so it makes no difference, right? But for people like monks, DKs not even really. DKs still use their death strike, so there's no big deal there. DKs, death strikes, monks, warriors especially, and druids who use rage and have a limited resource system, it kind of made sense. Do you want to do more damage or do you need more survivability in this situation? One of the big problems was Vengeance capping. What is Vengeance? Vengeance is an increase of attack power based on the damage you take. That's all Vengeance is. It passively increases a tank's attack power for the damage they take, which is why some people posted, well, why not just bring a load of tanks? Well, they won't get attacked, therefore they won't get any Vengeance, so it makes no odds. It won't work for them. Vengeance was capped, and you could cap that Vengeance very easily. One of the points he referred to was you can cap it in a 5-man heroic. You can cap your Vengeance out just off the mobs in a 5-man heroic, let alone a raid boss. Raid boss is going to do it easily, but you can cap it in a 5-man heroic, and this created some difficulties with scaling. I think Blizzard is very concerned with, and maybe rightfully so, with people not being able to tank. We generate about 5 times more threat than a normal DPSer as a tank. We generate 5 times more. Your attacks do 5 times more threat than a normal attack from a DPSer. That's still not enough for some people. It isn't. So we still see people who struggle with tanking threat. Happens all the time. I find it personally odd, but that's exactly the kind of mindset I try and put myself in for my videos, is some people still really struggle with this. They have a 5 times buffer and they still struggle with threat. It just happens. So they decided to buff it even more. And any of you who've just joined the game, which is a lot of you have just joined the game, a hell of a lot of you have just joined the game. During TBC, Vanilla, Wrath of the Lich King even, until it sort of changed about midway through Wrath of the Lich King, tanks were in very, very short supply. Immensely short supply. There was just no tanks. Why? Tanking was pretty hard. And people don't like difficulty. There was a lot of forum posts that referred to this. Why are there so many DPSs? And one of the big requests was, why can't we have sort of 10-man groups where we'll have 9 DPSs or 8 DPSs a tank and a healer? Just let more DPSs in. That's not a viable solution, is it? To have these dungeons where 9 or 8 DPSs roll in and you have 1 healer or 2 healers or whatever. They're mini raids, essentially. That didn't work out. They want 5-man dungeons. They like the 5-man synergy, 3 DPS, 1 healer, 1 tank. So how do we fix this? We simply make tanking easier. We simply make tanking easier. We give people tools like AoE threat. AoE threat didn't really exist up until the end of the Burning Crusade. Until all of Burning Crusade, really. The only tanks that could generate AoE threat on everything were Protection Paladins. And they were known for it, and they became very, very popular at the end of the Burning Crusade, due to the fact that they could simply consecrate. Consecrate made prop paladins massively overpowered compared to other tanks when it came to AoE tanking. That's why they were selected specifically for certain bosses like Muru. Muru, renowned as one of the most difficult bosses ever designed. Well, it's not difficult, it's just tightly tuned. So when people say Muru is difficult, they're wrong. Wrong! It's all about the tuning. But prop paladins could aggro all the little shadow elementals very easily. We just consecrate, basically. And then they had holy shields, so every time a mob attacked a prop paladin, they would bounce damage back. So prop paladins were very, very cool when they were getting attacked. Or when they could drop consecration on a lot of mobs. They just demolished the other tanks when doing it. It also created them a lot of problems. Prop paladins weren't very polished around that time. If we took a boss like Gurtog Bloodboil, great example, Gurtog Bloodboil, where 3 tanks in general, 2 tanks when you were really, really good, had to fight for threat, because Gurtog had various abilities that reduced the tank's threat, forcing his gaze upon another tank. And he didn't fixate. He did fixate, that was a different mechanic, but he didn't choose another tank. It was all threat-based. And I miss threat-based fights. Threat-based fights were really cool. But let's say a prop paladin generally generated a lot of its threat from being attacked. So if you had a prop paladin, once that prop paladin got knocked away from the threat, he would never be able to get it back over the other tanks, like warriors, for example, or feral druids. Just not possible, because he wasn't getting attacked, and so much of his threat came from there. So we then got AoE tanking. They made tanking easier. Thunderclap affects everything. Thunderclap affects everything. Shockwave. My God, if I had Shockwave during Muru, it would have been happy, happy days. And all this kind of stuff. They gave tanks just massive amounts of threat. Huge amounts of AoE threat, especially. And that helped a little bit. We saw more tanks come into the business. But still, not enough. Blizzard needs more tanks. We need to make tanking easier again. That we started introducing Vengeance. Vengeance would just give you astronomically high DPS. So your Shield Slam, although it had a big threat modifier, would now also hit really, really hard. So that modifier was just exponentially increased. So on and so forth. I kind of didn't like it. I felt threat really... As a sort of old school and purist tank, I didn't like it. It took away... I took a great pride in my tanking, especially during the Burning Crusade. And now that was gone. There was no pride in tanking. There was no more compliments for your tanking. Very rarely. The compliments you get now are more for the speed you pulled the dungeon, which anybody could do, really. It's not difficult to charge a mob and thunderclap and leap to another set of mobs and thunderclap and cleave and shockwave. It's not hard. So those are the kind of thanks we got now, whereas you would get thanks from your own guild, which is something you don't see anymore for the tanking. Thanks from your own guild. And I took great pride in that, and it gave me a nice sense of achievement. Not an ego boost, but just a nice sense of, I did my job well. That was my job. That's my job, is to survive well and keep the threat nice and high so the DPSs can do their jobs. I loved that. I really loved it. Stop texting me during the fucking daily. My God. So many messages. And it still wasn't enough. The vengeance changed, so now we uncapped vengeance. On August the 6th, I believe it was, this year, Blizzard decided to uncap vengeance. 2% of the damage you take will be converted to attack power. That's it. Flat out. 2% of the damage you take over 20 seconds will be converted to attack power. That's it. Now we have tanks who are getting hit very, very hard. Getting a lot of attack power. So much attack power, in fact, that they're doing more damage than the DPSs. How does this fit in with the general strategy of things? Well, one, it promotes even more tanks. And now we've even got another tank class, which is what we always thought would be the move, is to bring in another tank class. They tried it with the DK. Didn't quite do enough. Blood DKs weren't very popular in the Burning Crusade. There was a couple of big advocates of Blood DKs, but they were very situational. The Mastery Shield was a little bit tricky for some people to master. They had a lot of cooldowns, which made them the tank of choice for certain fights. In Cataclysm, I wouldn't say Blood DKs were overly popular either. They did fine. There were some bosses where they really, really struggled. We had some fights where Blood DKs straight up sucked at tanking them really badly. Like in Firelands. The first boss in Firelands, I think it ends in Nax. I don't know, he walks around with the 2 dogs and he does his shit with the dogs. Our Blood DK could often be insta-gibbed by that. So Blood DKs, then, you know, you remove the Blood DK. They weren't great at things like Balrog, where prop paladins and feral druids were just much better. Shanox. So Blood DKs had a few fights where they weren't great, which then leads to the situation where we need to swap out our Blood DK, or he needs to go DPS. And some guys love tanking. He doesn't want to respec DPS. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to tank. That's why he's fucking investing all his points and gear into tanking gear. And it's just annoying and frustrating. So Blood DKs became less and less and less. So we brought in another tank class, the Monk, which is working pretty well, especially considering they're mostly DPS geared in some fashion anyway. And now we've got this uncapped vengeance as well, leading to astronomical DPS benefits. And Blood DKs are once again shining. Flavor of the month. Watch out for a lot of Blood DKs flooding your application forums very soon. It will happen. What's the large-scale meaning of this? Well, some of you suggested some various ideas, so I just want to talk about that as well. I think my tank, this is one of the comments, I think my tank doing so much DPS is fucking ridiculous. Okay, it's awesome being on my Blood DK, destroying things and shitting all over the DPS. But if I were the DPS, I would feel shit. I always beat the tank when I go Frost on my DK, but if I was ever second to a tank, I would seriously be pissed. What's the point of DPS then? I hope you're right that Blizzard have balanced it for a higher gear. Tanks are always top DPS while leveling. Maybe the same until the DPS gets good gear. I found it interesting that's from a Blood DK. It's fun at first, I think, for a lot of tanks. It's fun at first. It's fine. It's cool. I'm doing all the DPS as well. And then it kind of settles in and you're like, I shouldn't be doing this. I don't know if everybody else sucks or not anymore. Which is sort of an interesting aspect of tanking. If the tanking at all the same amount of gear is doing more damage than the DPS, you kind of know something's fucking wrong here. Something shouldn't be happening that way. It's wrong. It goes against the Trinity. What we can say is that the way Vengeance works, it's 2% of the damage you take, unmitigated. So your armor and stuff doesn't matter, and your avoidance doesn't really matter. What we can say is that tank damage, at least in this tier, is not going to dramatically increase, because the boss will still hit as hard as it hits now. And DPS damage will increase significantly over the next 3 or 4 weeks. We will slowly start seeing the tanks being massively dropped to the bottom of the DPS. That's going to happen, but they're not going to be far away. They're not going to be far away. We're not going to see DPSs doing sort of triple the damage they're doing now. That's not going to happen. They're going to overtake the tanks for certain. The bosses aren't going to hit harder. Vengeance is not going to get higher than it is now until the next tier. And DPS gearing is going to significantly increase. So we're going to see this disappear a little bit. But ultimately what we can see is that tanks are always going to be a staple DPSer in your party or raid. So what's the problems and the benefits of this? For me, I don't like this tanking model for a couple of reasons. And I like this tanking model for a couple of other reasons. I'm on the fence until I see it play out a little bit. Firstly, why don't I like it? There are a lot of tanks out there who are starting to become obsessed with their own DPS. I saw this a lot on Saturday when I was testing things out on different classes. I spent Saturday sort of tested little things out for the videos. I saw a lot of tanks who were heavily gearing towards increasing their own DPS. That's not that bad in heroics, but it's very early in the game to start seeing that mentality. This is dangerous for some raids who are new raiders and putting together new unfound tanks. I see some tanks, and some classes do benefit a lot from hitting expertise, there's no doubt about that, and I'll cover it in the guides, but it's also the gemming. Enchants, I saw a lot of tanks with DPS enchants. I saw a lot of tanks using the crit meta gems to increase their critical strike bonus and strength and so on and so forth instead of some sort of tanking gem. This isn't happening in the world's best tanks, but remember, we don't really care too much about those tanks. They're in a league of their own, doing their own thing. We care about the core player base that we're going to be playing with on a much greater basis. And these guys are already becoming self-obsessed with their own DPS. We then run into a situation where the DPS starts outplaying them, and they take even further steps to be on top of the DPS. People will start expecting to top the DPS as a tank. That is very dangerous. That is like a virus. That is a virus that can spread a long way into really fucking up the game in the raiding terms. I think Blizzard's done a pretty cool job so far of making raiding more interesting. It lacks a protagonist at the moment, a good one, but we're getting there. And maybe patch 5.1, which has been announced, will go some way towards helping that. But at the moment, I'm starting to see the casual tanks change the way they play from caring about survivability towards being more focused on the DPS. That really bothers me, because their tanks are not likely to reforge, re-enchant and regem when they get into a raid. Let's watch what happens in Looking for Raid on Wednesday. In Looking for Raid on Wednesday, we might start seeing, check out your tanks. Out of interest for me as well. Everybody's going to jump into Looking for Raid on Wednesday and try and get a few extra items. Of course we are. In fact, on Wednesday, I'm planning to do a stream, and I'll bring as many of you as along, and it doesn't matter if we fail in Looking for Raid. It doesn't matter if we fail, but if you want a nice, safe environment to try out your first Looking for Raid, try and log on to the stream on Wednesday around 9 AM, let's say. UK time, GMT. It's 10 AM in Europe. And we'll go into Looking for Raid together. I'll try and get 25 of us together, and we'll just go in and we'll have a great time. And we'll fuck about, and we'll try out the bosses and do things like that. But if, I just want to say, when you get into Looking for Raid on Wednesday, inspect your tanks. If you find something really stand out to this issue of people who are moving to try and boost their own single target DPS, take a screenshot of the inspection for me with mousing over the things that you noticed. Are they wearing these DPS meta gems? Are they wearing DPS enchants? I would love to see it. Are they wearing DPS trinkets? Was a big one as well. DPS trinkets. Very high hit, strength increased trinkets, agi on use trinkets, things like that. Are they wearing those kind of things? Are they reforging nowhere near any defensive stats? No dodge, no parry, no mastery, all sort of crit and things like that. I want to see that. And then we can show how this effect is occurring on the player base. We'll do a little study on our own of how this is affected. Having tanks do massive DPS, what is the result on the average player base? What is the outcome? I want to see it. So if you get that, send me a screenshot to preachgaming@gmail.com. Let's have a look at it. Should be pretty cool. A couple of things here. Personally, my overall view is I think we need to crush this down. I don't think we should have tanks doing DPS, but that's my old school sort of old saggy balls view. I want to see the tanks being lower than the DPS. I want to see a relative role there. I don't think tanks should be filling two roles. I think that's a dangerous thing to be doing. It's dangerous to have one player filling two roles. It upsets and demotivates DPSers. Tanks shouldn't care too much about their offensive stats, in my opinion. It should be, how can I best survive this fight? And once you're comfortable with the fight, making little choices to make it a little bit better for your DPS threat, whatever it might be. Expertise, hit, I can afford to drop a bit of defense now. It's an interesting journey that the tanks go on is, I get killed by this boss, I need maximum survivability. We're comfortable with this boss. I can make some little tweaks to my gear, even if it's just swapping in a trinket. That's a little exciting moment for tanks. It always was for me. Hopefully it is for you guys as well. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story today. but it's not my story. Anything awesome that happens to you guys out there in the big World of Warcraft universe, and it has screenshots, I want to know about it because I'm a drama llama. In terms of, I love drama. I especially love it when it doesn't involve me. Because everybody has drama in World of Warcraft. It happens all over the place. It happens in every guild. And I received an email, and I won't be using the correct names in this email. But I do have something prepared. It was called, this is the best email title ever, Shocking Guildmate Behavior and Betrayal. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I went there. I fucking went there. Shocking guildmate behavior and betrayal. Oh yeah. So we've got a story coming up. It's going to be a relatively long story. I'm not going to be talking about anything more useful for the remainder of the daily. So go ahead and use the timestamps to jump to any questions you're interested in. This part is going to be pure drama llama. And for the live streamers, you can enjoy the story and we'll take your questions after that. It's pretty long. It's 8 paragraphs. And I'll try and tell it in an exciting way. We're going to say that our friend is called Brad. No, I'm going to change it for Brad because Brad denotes fail in some fashion, and I don't think it should be Brad. We're going to call him Terry. I like the name Terry. No, let's make it more epic. We'll call him Jake. Jake. Like Jake Ramirez. That's his name. It's Jake Ramirez. And a good solid name. Good solid name. I wasn't sure if I supposed to write this email to you, but you kind of brought up the subject of the previous daily, so here it is. Alright, Jake, we're ready. We're pumped. We've got over 200 ballers here who are ready to hear your fucking story. Let's bring it on. Let me describe to you my whole story. Transition, fading out, fucking blurry. I came back to WoW after a 6 months break in July. I had to create a new Battle.net account as well. Because I had my... It's not in English, okay? It's not in English, so bear with me for any stuttering. Because I had my previous one... I handed my previous one over to my girlfriend. We shared it for some time. I wanted to play casually, as I had enough of raiding from previous expansions. I found a level 25 guild, just to have the 10% XP bonus. I didn't expect to find this guild to be the best one I've ever been in. It was nice as well. It was a completely casual guild. But old and respected. It had been created in 2006. After a while, 2 months or less, the GM asked me if I wanted to be a new officer. Since there was very little people online at the time and I was constantly showing up on a daily basis, I didn't want any kind of responsibility, to be honest. I just wanted to play casually all the way, but eventually I agreed. I was really not a demanding job. Anyway, to the point. We discussed the possibility of making a raid team in Mists of Pandaria when some people will be showing up, as it's always at the beginning of a new expansion. We generally agreed that if it happens, there should be a kind of sub-guild. Because there more than likely will be some conflicts and we would like to avoid that. So there should be a raid leader, not dependent from anyone else, and set of different ranks. Another guild bank tab for raiders. Then Mists of Pandaria came online. More people started to show up, and every day, and there it was. Do we want to raid now? The question was raised. We decided that we do. So the GM updated our guild's website and forum, and all those who wanted to raid gave some thoughts about our raiding team, raiding hours, boss tactics, and so on. Should post there. It's a natural thing to me, and it's an easy way to communicate with guildies, outside of WoW as well, at work, etc. Then the GM told about it in... Oh, then the GM talked about it in guild chat, and oh my god, the drama that it caused. 2 ladies started to express themselves in a sort of aggressive manner, saying that the forum is an awful idea, that nobody uses it. Why don't we just use the WoW calendar? Which we, of course, would use as well along with the forum. And those kind of things. I was shocked, to be honest. One of those ladies I actually considered a friend. Let's call her Megan. So eventually, to stop it, I said, no one is forcing you to use it. Relax. Jesus. Then she started whispering me like you can see in the screenshots. Then she went offline. The next day, me and the GM had a conversation about how crazy it was, and that even if you don't want to use the guild forum, would it be such a horrible thing to just check it once a week? I mean, it was supposed to be used mostly before we would start raiding, to decide on what to do and how we wanted to do it. You know, information would always be there for people to see, etc. Anyway, Megan went online again and started spreading shit. GM then told her that he should take me off, that she should take me off ignore. Because he doesn't want people from the guild to ignore each other. That there is always a way to solve things, and he was right. I mean, even if I told her that she is stupid and have to shut up, which I would never do, by the way, I tend to avoid conflicts if I can. I should at least have the opportunity to apologise. What are you apologising for? I don't know what you're apologising for here. Anyway, it all didn't work. She left the guild. But our GM had to kick her other characters as well. The next day we found out that she was whispering all kinds of lies to people from the guild about me and about the GM. But it got even better. She then threatened our GM that she would tell some really nasty stuff about him to his 13-year-old nephew, which was a member of our guild as well. Our GM then reported her to Blizzard because things got too far and I thought that everything will calm down then. The next day, which is today, I talked with several people from the guild and they are not convinced who to believe. Us, being me and the GM, or Megan. Even though I showed them the same screenshot I sent you, that's because Megan was always such a cutie pie. She was always funny RPer. We were playing on the RP server, not RPing all that much, but she did and people loved it. She was nice and helpful. A little malicious, not sure if that's the right word for it, at times, but in all, a good person. At least I thought so. I was speechless of how rude and two-faced she turned out to be. A crazy person. But the worst part is right now. That even though I have evidence in my hand, people are not believing me. They're starting to treat me with more distance, and our current RL set up a rule that we won't use the forum after all, and all raid discussions should be performed in guild chat. The only person who understands me right now is the GM, which I find so strange that people won't trust neither me or him. I mean, what the hell? Is it just me, or is in fact something really wrong with all those people? I can't really to this moment wrap up in my mind around it. How the guild and people thought that I were the best ones I could ever come across now turn out to be so distrustful. And I was always there to greet them, grats them, and help them on many occasions. I don't understand how this can happen. I was playing casually, and suddenly, boom, I am the #1 enemy. So right now I'm not sure what to do, leave or wait for something else. Because even if I stay, there will always be the aftertaste that even though people believe me in the end, they should do from the start. The evidence was there, and I was surprised by Megan's behaviour as they were. And after all, I won't take shit or any kind of responsibility for some things that I didn't do, especially in WoW. Sorry for the super long letter. I didn't think you would want to use it in the daily, but if you would, don't post the screenshots, please. It's too personal. The letter itself is as well, but I can handle it. Keep up the great work, and thanks in advance for your help and advice. Oh, shit now. Jake. What a shitty story. Oh, Jakey. Okay. Alright, few things in here. Few things we need to talk about. Few things that relate to RL. First of all, any accusation. What does the law tell us? The law tells us you are innocent until proven guilty. Wrong! 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 Nobody in this goddamn fucking world is innocent until proven guilty. Not a motherfucking one of you, or me, or anybody in the world. The real world situation is you are guilty as fuck until proven innocent. You are the guiltiest goddamn person alive until proven innocent. Without question. This is why many bullshit papers make a lot of money from just casting an accusation. Accusations are a wondrous thing in the real world and mob mentality. Especially in a guild of people who don't really know you. They might think you're friendly, sure, you help them out. Hell, you could have given them gold in the past and drenched them in riches and loot. And then somebody says something bad about you in a personal way. Oh, you're the enemy. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, you are the devil. You are the goddamn devil. The screenshots that are pasted along with Jake's email are pretty clear fucking evidence that Megan is a twat. That Megan is a twat. Absolute twat. But people still don't believe it. A nice real life thing for this is the X Factor. The X Factor. I hate the X Factor. I detest it. I think it's a horrible, horrible exploitation of the mob mentality. Unfortunately, there is a great deal of money to be made by exploiting mob mentality. There is a tremendous amount of money to be made. Coney 2012! Fuck Coney! Give us all some money! Right? Yeah, if any of you have any common sense, you'll have seen what that video was and gone... Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously. Abusing... Why do you think that charity videos have really nasty pictures of babies covered in flies and stuff? You know, it's... playing on your emotions. It plays on a mob mentality as well. Thanks, Strunson, for updating me on what I should have said. Yeah, abusing mob mentality is very... And the stupid thing about it is, abusing mob mentality is very, very easy to do. And of course, you are in fact guilty as soon as the accusation is spread. It feels awful, it feels horrific, it feels bad, it feels terrible, and we have all had something like this happen, probably even at school level. As soon as people understand the power of a lie. Who's seen The Invention of Lying, Ricky Gervais film? That exploits this entire... It's one of the most perfect examples of the power of lying. And although I thought the ending was sort of obvious, where he tried to relate in some way to religion, which just offends a lot of people needlessly. I don't blame people for having religious faith. It's a true example of how powerful a lie can be. And the more powerful the lie is, the more people it reaches, and then it gets even worse. Ultimately gets worse. There is no way you can possibly realistically win this situation. If you've shown people evidence, then you're absolved in your own mind. And that's what you need to be happy with. You know you did no wrong. You've shown people the evidence. Probably on your forum. I would just put these on the forum and say, whatever. Look, here's the screenshots. That's what we were dealing with. Whatever. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it. But that's your own fucking fault. A lot of people seem to believe... This is one of the most ridiculous arguments I ever face is... I don't believe you. It doesn't stop it being true. Right? You know what I mean? Not believing something doesn't stop it being true. No matter what you say. Oh, well, I do believe this. Okay, I don't give a fuck what you believe. It doesn't stop the truth being true, right? You know what I mean? Just being so stubborn as to not accept somebody's valid argument. I get shit on a lot, especially when I try and go into very intricate details on WoW mechanics, especially when the WoW mechanics change. It's very easy to look at one of my videos from, say, beta, and post a comment now saying, you fucking moron, you were wrong. No, at the time I was right. It doesn't change the fact that when I made the video, it was correct. Now it's wrong. I agree. I don't care. If someone comes up to me with a valid argument about something, I will easily change my mind. You see a great example of in the web show. Me and Ghost have had a lot of discussions recently about the yin and yang effect of mine and Ghost's approaches, which seems to help us a lot both in RL and hopefully in the channel going forward, is I like helping people. Ghost likes fucking raging at people. Anybody who watches his stream will see him troll the shit out of some people. I don't really do that, but it's a nice combination of two things which meets nicely in the middle. And when it comes to business, when I have a business decision to make, I try and see the good in things, but I also have a very business-minded sense of people are trying to just get money out of me. I know that. And then sometimes Ghost just comes in and says, you should tell him to fuck off. You know, as simple and blatant as that. I said, from my outside perspective, this guy's an asshole, get rid of him. And most of the time we'll meet somewhere in the middle, and we either fuck him off or we don't. It's pretty cool. So in this situation, you're trying to resolve it. I would give up on resolving it. If you want to do one more thing to resolve the situation and you haven't put these on a sort of public display, I would just put them up there and say, look, that's what happened. I don't care if you don't believe me. It doesn't change the truth. That's it. And if you're so obsessed by e-tits, because of course Megan is a lady, and especially in guilds that invite everybody, I imagine in any guild where you simply log in and get spammed for guild invites, those kind of guilds, I imagine there's a lot of younger, more naive people in those guilds, or maybe just people who, I don't know, are a little bit more swayed towards the not making great friends side of things. And that's a kind of odd generalization, but I kind of, when I'm in those guilds, I have joined those guilds on various alts just to get the XP while someone's been offline. Let's say I wanted to join Stark, but none of the officers are online during the day. I'll play the day in a different guild. Why the fuck not? I'll still get the XP bonus and then I leave later on. The most ridiculous Megan Fox lol conversations I see going on in there sort of give me that belief. And I've done it several times, so I'm talking from experience. I know some of you will go, I'm in one of those guilds and we're really nice people. Cool. Good for you. But most of those guilds I go in are not like that. They're really not like that. And so, from that mentality, a girl has a lot of power. A lot more power than in a raiding guild. A serious raiding guild, most people really don't give a fuck. So, sure, some people do. Some people still are swayed by the fact that the voice on the other end of voice comms is a feminine one, right? It still happens. In fact, when Emma was playing Guild Wars here, And Sam was here, who plays Senva in Stark, who's also a lady. They came together to watch X Factor. Came together, should I have used that phrase? I instantly regret saying that. Okay, so when Emma and Sam were together here, again, together, I just can't seem to escape lesbianism right now. And pretty much, Sam was openly telling Emma to play on the fact that she's a girl. And she was going, you'll just get a ton of free shit. And Emma's going, no, I don't believe it. Sam's going, yeah. Tell them you're a girl. Talk on Ventrilo. I guarantee you'll get a lot of free shit. I bet people try and talk to you in private messages all the time. And Emma's going, well, yeah, but they just want to help me, right? And me and Sam are laughing. If I was a girl, I'd abuse the shit out of it. Are you kidding me? If I was a girl, I would totally abuse these morons. Why the fuck wouldn't I? Do you know what I mean? If you're gonna, yeah, I'm a girl. I have breasts. Give me free stuff. Totally, I would abuse the crap out of it. I wish I was a girl in gaming sometime. Make my life a lot easier. There'd be fucking 18 times more people watching this show if I had a pair of, well, lady breasts, not man breasts right now. They totally would. So Sam was openly saying, yeah, tell them you're a girl. Let them do stuff for you. In more, I would suspect in guilds that are full of more, can I use this term? Underdeveloped players. Oh, what a term! Didn't offend anybody. In a guild of less developed players, oh, I love that term. That term is going to be used from now until the end of time. Less developed players, I imagine being a girl is far more powerful. And this is really fucking evidence of that situation right here. This is so much evidence. Is that this girl just has overwhelming power because she's a girl. Is that fair? No. What we discussed in many dailies? Life's bullshit. Nothing's fair. You have evidence against her. She has a vagina. She wins. Outright. Don't fight it. You can't fight that kind of moronic activity. You can't do it. You can't just... You can't lose, you can't beat it, so don't try. Don't try and do it. I know it'll leave a sour taste in your mouth, but forget it. You're actually trying to pick out of probably a full roster. If this is a 25 guild that invites a lot of people, it's probably a full roster. You're trying to find 10 people, 10 ballers. There's bound to be 10 ballers in there. That's all you care about. That's all you care about. And this is actually a great way of finding those 10 ballers. If you see a forum post where someone goes, oh, well, I totally believe you. Talk to that guy. He's got common sense. He's not, maybe I can have sex with this girl on the internet, along with everybody else here who's also kissing ass because she's female. Whatever, right? I'm sure that it's not because of her awesome role-playing skills, which apparently she's also cool at. What kind of roleplay was she doing? Kind of interested to know, Jake. I kind of want to know. Other stuff is this will happen more and more and more and more and more. Rumors get spread. Rumors get spread all the time. Happens, especially, you know, with me and stuff. It happens all the time. I hear rumors that, did you know Preach is a real asshole in his 5-man heroics? Someone said that to me after he joined Star Wars The Old Republic. Ghost will remember this, or anybody who was in our Star Wars The Old Republic guild, the Council of Ballers. We had a guy join who was so excited to be playing with me. He was a young guy, and that's fine. Awesome. But I am just a guy, right? Obviously. I'm just a guy with a fucking microphone and a camera who knows a lot about games and especially World of Warcraft. So playing Star Wars The Old Republic, we invited anybody and everybody who wanted to play with us. Like we do with Stark. Like Ghosty runs Stark, okay? Like he does with Stark. And this guy was just so excited to be playing with me, which is cool, right? I get it, alright? And he just would not stop spamming guild chat. I'm talking for about 15 minutes. Every few seconds, a new comment. Hey, Preach, what are you doing? And then just chatting to everybody. Is everybody like, I can't believe we're playing with Preach, guys. Isn't this fucking awesome? And all this stuff. He was just very, very excited. So I had to say, ultimately, the officer chat was going, dude, this guy is really annoying. It's really fucking annoying. He's just spamming guild chat constantly. And I agreed. It was annoying me. And I just said, hey, man, relax. It's okay. You don't need to spam so much. Let's just play together. He instantly left the guild. Instantly. I'd be surprised if nobody remembers this. He instantly left the guild straight away. And then started spamming on my latest videos about how horrible I was. Don't join Preachy's guild. You're not allowed to speak. You know, complete exaggeration and moronic actions. Just totally ridiculous things. And this rumor spread. And people were like, really? Should I not join? Because is Preach really horrible? Yeah, maybe he's a bit of an elitist arsehole. Maybe this elitist, anti-elitist policy is like a total fraud. And it spread. And people were just taking it in. And Ghost got really pissed off, like Ghost does. So Ghost was trying to contact me. He was like, dude, what are we going to do about this? I said, I'm not going to do a damn thing. And I said, just wait till tomorrow. This was all in the same day. I said, I'm not doing a damn thing. The next day, of course, all the people from the council, or who were members of the guild, all replied and buried his post. They were like, "You fucking talking shit. We were there. We know what happened. It's fine." And it just disappears. Ultimately, everything disappears. Everything. Doesn't matter how bad it is. Fuck me. It doesn't matter how bad an event is, especially World of Warcraft, which is minuscule. Even worldwide events disappear eventually. No one gives a shit. So don't take them too personally. And rumours are rumours. It doesn't matter. You know in your own mind you're fine. Should you leave? No. You've got a load of people to pick from. You've got some authority. You're a fucking raid leader. Find 10 ballers out of those people. Stick it out. Quitting is never the solution. Quitting is the solution when all other options are exhausted and you can't ever foresee resolving or salvaging a situation. Then you should quit. Look after number one, always. But right now, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Ghosty's back. Questions. Start taking your questions now. I'm just going to wrap up this question for me. It's been an hour-long daily again, so I'm going to do very few questions. As it was the weekend, of course, I have a ton of emails and stuff to go through, so we'll be doing question time tomorrow. I just loved this story so much. And if you do have a nice, interesting story, it has to be interesting. Don't make me read it if it's boring as shit and it's about how you found some copper ore somewhere and then you smelted it and it was really awesome because you got some mining levels. I don't really hear about that. If you've got some really interesting drama that maybe affects other people, I'll happily read it out. Yes, Ghost. Can you... Yes, I will, Ghosty. Yay, copper ore. Soulseeker, I'm not sure about your email. Be aware. Currently in my inbox, no exaggeration, let me open it, I have 1,163 emails. I bet you don't believe me. 1,163 emails. I don't reply to them all, unfortunately. So if it's something very, very important, please send it again. It might have got buried. I probably read it and not thought it relevant at the time. That's the only reason. It's the only reason. Or if it was similar to some other situation I dealt with at the time. They're all asking for my UI. Yes. We're trying to sort the UI issue out. I've got a couple of emails about your UI. Why has nobody banned Oliver yet? Preacher, I'm not going to be a troll here, but when I ask you if you've ever had sex and if so, what gender? I don't want to offend here, please respond. Yes, with my fiance. She's a lady. Good question. Good question, man. You feel free to try any more banning questions. I think we've got some mods here. Ghosty for the win. It's hammer time. See you, Oliver. Hey, Preacher, I just got officer. Ooh, spamming messages. Preacher, I just got the officer. Let me move the questions over here. I know some people dislike it when I'm reading from across the room. Hey, Preacher, I've just got officer in the top guild of my realm. I'm really confused as to how to approach the position. I'm the guild tank, and I've always kind of been expected to dungeon lead. More messages. Fuck, guys. I've been expected to dungeon guide a raidler. Do I need to do anything special now? This responsibility, or what else I need to do? The only thing I would suggest to you on that matter is there something that's really been peeing you off that you never really had the authority to deal with in the past? For me, it was always people slacking after boss kills. I can't understand it. I don't like it. Loot isn't going anywhere. It's going nowhere. You can have one guy. This is how I had my raid set up. I'm not saying this is the best way by any means. I had the raid leader, which was me. My job as the raid leader is to get the guys through the raid. Easy as that. That's my job, is to know the tactics, know assignments, and in between boss pulls, guess what you do? You don't talk shit. You can talk shit, but the raid leader should be assigning assignments before you reach the boss. I fucking hate raids where you clear everything, get to the boss, and then start talking about what you're going to do with the boss. What is that? You have all this trash time in which to decide what to do on the boss. Assign things there, especially farm content. My God, by the time we clear the last track, it takes no more than 10 fucking seconds to pull that boss. I sound like that guy from Full Metal Jekyll. It should take 10 fucking seconds to get over this obstacle. It should take you no more than 10 fucking seconds to complete this obstacle. I totally agree. It should not take any time whatsoever once you clear the trash to pull the boss, especially on farm content. It's ridiculous that people get there and go, okay, who's healing who? Who's tanking what? Sort it out on the trash. Seriously, sort it out. And if you're an officer, you have the power to say, okay, we're doing this now. So I had the raid leader, which was me, sorting out assignments. And all I cared about was pulling the boss and doing it as fast as possible. That was it. Doing a nice, smooth run. My job as raid leader is to make the smoothest run possible. No loose ends. There should be nobody who does not know what they are doing in the raid. That's my job. Second, I had the raid organizer, was the name I dubbed it. Not very classy, I know, but the raid organizer dealt with any swaps that needed to occur. I don't care if there's going to be swaps as the raid leader. I care if those swaps are not done by the time we reach the boss. So I would give that job to Blubzor, I believe, was in charge of that. Blubzor, if Blubzor was in the raid, he was the raid organizer. If there were people, if we needed, let's say we were doing a 10-man raid, and this raid needs 2 healers, and the next one needs 3 healers, I would go, wouldn't care. That's Blubzor's job to know what the setups are for the bosses. That's his job. And then if we needed an extra healer, he would know who was going out and who was coming in, and he would prepare that to happen. In the trash. Come in. And people shouldn't really be getting summons. You know you're coming in for the next boss or somebody's respecking. I don't care about that. I just say, Blubzor, are we good to go? And if he says, no, somebody's slacking or something's happening, fine. I don't need to ask the whole raid. Is everybody ready? Okay, let's go. I just asked Blubzor, are we ready to go? Then I had a Master Looter, usually a DPSer. We can afford to lose a DPSer for a few seconds. As soon as a boss dies, he collects all the loot. All the loot. In my case, it was Zero, a Shadow Priest. He would collect all the loot, and then off he would come and join us, and he'd be like, does anybody need this loot? He'd link it, and then we would do the loot while we're doing the trash. Guess what? By the time we reach the next boss, we've got a raid full of people who are ready to do this boss. I'm ready to pull the boss. I've given out the assignments, and the loot has been distributed. There is no need for these people to go, I'm killing the boss, I'm killing the boss, execute, 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 boss is dead. Getting myself a fucking reader, I'm going for a drink, I'm getting the phone. Oh, buddy, we killed the boss. Now it's time for a 5-minute conversation. Time to discuss what I did at the weekend. Boss is dead. Break time. Give myself a pat on the back. I did really well on that boss, guys. I did really fucking well. Absolutely not. I hate that. I really detest that. So as the officer approaching the raid, you've obviously raid-led done dungeon guiding before. That's okay. Any rules and stuff you feel you should add, do so. Now's your opportunity. That's what you should do. One last question. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to answer this because the answer is actually really easy. Preach, I am in the Golden Lotus Daily Hub and there are around 30 Horde on mammoths appearing to be purposefully blocking the quest orders in order for some Alliance players to accidentally target auto-attack them and get killed by the guards. What is the right course of action? Shift V is the right course of action. It's very tricky. Now, write it down. Shift and V. Shift V will put up friendly nameplates. It doesn't matter if there is a trillion people in front of that quest giver, you can click him really easily. You just left click his nameplate. It's awesome. That's just all you need to do. Yeah, be aware of misclicking, but it should be pretty easy depending on what sort of, if you use tidy plates, it's really easy because you can keep them like frozen. But other than that, just press Shift V and it trounces all those people. When Mr. Pandaria launched, there were so many people crowding Garrosh or whatever it was for the quest. I just walked in, Shift V, clicked it, walked out again. No, you want justice. You want justice. You want revenge. I don't know, man. Each to their own. I don't care about revenge after doing dailies. I'm just glad they're over. Have you read my mail about healing tips for the ballers? I put some shaming info as well. Probably, yes. But if it was any more than 3 days ago, it's probably lost from my mind. It really is. Especially after today. Anyway, it's over an hour, guys. And Emma and my... Oh, she sent in the ultimate troll. Come on. Come on. Come here. This means it's time for this lad to go for a walk. And it's time for this daily show to be over. Emma knows how to disrupt the daily in positive style. Just send in the Ben. Mwah. Have a great evening, ballers. I will see you tomorrow at 5 PM GMT. I hope you enjoyed the story. I will see you later. Oh, shake the camera, Ben. Good stuff.